What I like about Leica is, I tell guys to RTFS, right? Read the fucking screen. Because if there's anything like an error code or anything like that, it'll pop up on there and it'll give you like you just hit the help button and it'll give you a step-by-step procedure what to check and what's going on, right?
Welcome back to the DIRTLFE podcast. I took a bit of a break off, upgraded the cameras, studio, kind of everything. Anyway, this guest I have today, his name's Justin. He owns Subterranean Excavating. He uses a lot of Leica gear. They are a sponsor of the podcast, so let's get right into it. So I want to tell your side of the story. Like, I want to hear about your company, kind of how you got into construction.
Yep.
So perhaps we could start with your company and how you got into construction.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, after high school, I decided I wanted to try something different, right? Like, I was a born and raised a farm kid, so I had a love for equipment and machinery and anything moving, so to speak. But I got allergies like to the nines, right? So I had to do something completely different. So,
Swear, N95.
oh yeah, just like dad would make you shovel grain bins and you'd be tearing full of allergy, like yeah, just swollen right up. So, but yeah, no. So I did that. It didn't work. Farming wasn't for me. So I decided to go to do some construction work. I worked for a guy out in Lethbridge there. Did it for a couple of years, and then yeah, we were working crazy long hours, and I was like, ah, shit, like maybe I gotta get a trade, right, to get something, get something at least a red seal of something. So I did my parts technician ticket, and became a journeyman parts technician, and then. After 3 years of that, I was like, I can't be inside a building anymore. And I was like, you know what? I can't work for a boss anymore. So I bought myself a first gravel truck. I bought a trencher, bought a little excavator, and then we just kind of just hit it off. Just started doing small jobs and little things around town, and it kind of just grew from there. And over time, we just had some real, I wouldn't say lucky, but some big breaks, like every business owner does sometimes, right? So, and we just kept escalating from there. Just kept bigger and bigger.
Your dad was a farmer?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, yeah. Still is. Still farms. He's 65 years old. And
I find that farm kids do very well in construction.
yes.
I mean, they're taught how to work hard,
Oh, for sure.
work ethic, and up early and all this shit. They make excellent equipment operators.
Yeah. Anytime a farm kid tries to apply for a job, they're like hired. It's
Their
like
skills are like kind of almost already developed. They just haven't ran the correct machine.
exactly. They have a natural knack for running equipment. They're used to working long hours. They're used to not getting paid overtime and all that stuff. Well, we pay overtime now, obviously, but
Yeah.
but they're used to like give her shit kind of attitude, right? So that's what I really enjoy about hiring farm guys.
Grew up in Lethbridge?
Yeah, born and raised Picture Butte, Alberta. Yeah,
You still work
still
in
live
that whole area?
Yeah, you bet.
What type of work do you guys do exactly?
So mainly our work is we started off doing ag work, right? So ag work was our bread and butter, and it still is. Like agricultural work, I love it. I hate the red tape of city projects and all this stuff. Like if I'm in the wide open spaces, let's move some dirt, let's get stuff done. So ag is a big thing for us. We've done some green energy projects as well. So yeah, that treated us very well. And now we're getting into some commercial stuff. So now we're starting to diversify and just try to get pick our little, just more challenges, right? We always want to be challenged all the time. So
Define ag work. Like you building ditches for cows to drink out
yeah,
of? Or...
we do everything in ag, right? So it's like from a grain farmer, we'll do like land drainage projects, right? Like they've got sloughs in their field, we'll make sure that everything drains, that kind of stuff. Irrigation projects, putting pipe in the ground for pivot systems, irrigation systems, and then like anything in like the intensive livestock kind of things. So like chicken farms and dairy farms and feedlot operations. Like we do all developments for them and retrofits and maintenance work and all that stuff too. So
What jobs do you have on the go right now? When I was there filming with you guys, you were doing a pretty unique project. Like, start with that one, maybe. Just
yeah,
explain like what you were doing.
yeah, that was out in Warner there. So that's one of our niche little markets we do is that roller compacted concrete. It's fairly new in the industry, so to speak. in the feedlot side of things, we really got to take it. It's really taken off there. 2015 we started doing it, and we started just pretty small little things, and now it's just escalated into this massive industry right now. And it's me and one other guy really that do most of the RCC placing in the whole southern area. Yeah, it's a really neat product. It's just a dry concrete mixture, and you mix it on a plant on site, haul it into the feedlot pens, and level it with a grader and a dozer using GPS machine control, and pack it, and you get up to from 25 to 50 MPa concrete out of it. So
It actually turns into concrete.
it's full concrete. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the name, roller compacted concrete. So it's just a dry concrete mixture. And like when we do break strengths and stuff like that, like we use washed aggregates, we're getting up to like 50 MPa.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're using just like 3/4 crushed gravel out of the pit, yeah, 24, 25 MPa. That's kind of what we get for. So
Build essentially a giant pad for the cows to
yeah,
stand
exactly.
on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, feedlots have always been clay, right? The clay pens,
Muddy and
mud. Oh yeah, you can never like look this weekend we got 4 inches of rain in Bolton, right? Like, could you imagine cattle in a pen, 4 inches of rain, tromping through all this mud, right? Like, it's not good for the cattle, obviously. You got to try clean the manure out. You can't get in there. You'd be getting loader stuck, truck stuck. It's a disaster. So that's why we put this stuff in there. Is just to it saves everybody money, the operator money. Keeps cattle out of the mud. It's just a real efficient way of doing business in the cattle industry right now.
So on that topic a little bit more, while I was on site, I noticed you guys you were very efficient.
Well, that's key, right? Like, the more efficient you can be, the better, right? So, and that's goes back to hiring guys. I like to hire young guys because I like to train them to be efficient, right? Hiring older operators, sometimes they could bring their old habits and they don't want to change, they don't want to diversify. They don't want to like, hey, this is the way we got to do things. And yeah, we try to run everything is max efficiency. Like, we try to be in and out as fast as we can on the project. So
The old crusty bastards.
yeah, oh, exactly.
They're
Yeah.
slowly leaving the industry, which I'm kind of happy about.
Yeah,
They're very good, but
Yeah.
like you mentioned, they're set in their ways,
they're
right?
set in their ways, and and kudos to them, right? Like, they've done their hard times. Like, I mean, they were built different than we were, right? I mean, I remember hearing some stories from old cat skinners and an old D8 no cab, minus 30 degrees. They had the cowl on the hood, around the hood, to blow some engine heat at them in the middle of winter. I mean, a lot of operators these days wouldn't even wake up in the morning to even bother doing something like that, right? So
I once ran a dozer with no seat. It was a T6H, had no fucking seat. It broke,
yeah,
and I complained about it broken, so they took the seat out.
oh yeah,
So I still had work.
yeah,
So I got a milk crate, a ratchet strap, strapped that fucker to and then used a rope to tie myself in, cutting slopes.
Oh my god, yeah. It sounds about the similar story. Like my old boss too. He had just junk equipment, and they're running a loader, and the seat would just, you hit the brakes, and you'd head it hit the front windshield, and you'd take off, and you'd hit the back windshield. So me and my buddy one night just ripped that seat out, put a 5-gallon bucket on it, so at least you were sitting a little bit stable, right? So,
Yeah, same concept. What
Yeah.
I did basically. What makes your company different?
well, different. I mean, different in what way?
I know exactly. So this podcast is sponsored by Leica Geosystems.
Yep.
So let's go into that a little bit. Like, you were using Leica on
Yeah,
graders, dozer.
yeah.
Does that make you a little bit different versus other people? You're embracing technology.
Yeah, well, technology is key, right? I mean, without it, like, that's just the way it is. Like, you can't even bid on a job now without it. First off, like, I've heard of many people bidding on jobs and they've lost out on bids because, yeah, they haven't adopted it and they're just not experienced in it. And but like, adding machine control to everything has really helped because, for instance, today we're building a pad for a new house, and we just didn't have a dozer to send there to trim the pad off, but our excavator's got GPS on the bucket, right? So we built it all, and he's just trimming it off with the GPS on the hole. So we didn't have to bring another machine there, right? So it's just, you work with what you got, and that it had one guy, and it wasn't a guy with a grade stick running around. He just had it all in his cab on the screen and cut it out, and it was perfect.
Before you got machine control, you had 2D?
Yeah, we ran 2D. Yeah, we had 2D on a little skid steer grader blade thing attachment on a skid steer. And I mean, they still work. Like that's still for flat work. I'd still say 2D is fantastic. Anything flat work. I mean, we have total station machine control as well, but you lose the prism. The robot's got to turn around. Like it can get a little bit hairy.
Gotta move it all the time.
Oh god, yeah. And then some guy in a rock truck parks right in the way, and then the dozer guy stopped. Move the rock truck out of the fucking way again, right? So, but like laser has always been, it's tried true method, right?
Mhm.
So we still use it on some projects, but majority of it is all outdoors now. So 3D is
Yeah.
so much simpler. Just use that.
What made you go to machine control? I guess Leica machine control. Why Leica?
Well, I like it. Well, I mean, that was honestly, the first phone call I made. So, I mean, I was dealing with uh, a different Leica dealer at the time, and I still deal with them too, Mountain View Systems, and they kind of put me in the positions like, hey, you try this Leica, right? Like it's new. I was like, well, let's try it out, and so we adopted it, and it was a learning curve. Believe me, there was days I got that tablet and I first looked at this thing, I'm like, man, I could set up a laser and 10 times faster than doing anything on this stupid data collector, right?
But once it's set up,
But once it was set up, yes. And I remember, oh, it was a big, big rigmarole. But once we got it all figured out, honestly, it was like we'd never go back. Like we we've learned so much off that right now, and like we don't even need engineers or surveyors or anything like that. Like we do all our own surface files, like that feedlot you were at
Yep.
the other day too. That was all built by myself actually. So
Mhm.
we built the whole model there. Took us 45 minutes, and the cat's going to work. Right? It was like so easy to use. I just love that software. So
So you switch dealers. Who's your dealer now?
spatial technologies.
Spatial
Yeah.
technology.
No, and then Cletus and Ryan, they treat us really good. Like I have no reason to go anywhere else. I got buddies that use competitive systems, and I always got to chuckle at them when they when they look at it and they're like, "How did you get that done so fast?" I'm like, "Well, just I don't know. It's right here. Like, you guys don't have that options. Oh no, we got to go through this and that and that." And it's like, man, I don't know how you guys even work with this stuff. So
So I like Leica because I mean, well, I could work with anyone really.
yeah,
I've used them all.
well, they'll
Like
do the same function, right?
they do. Now I chose Leica because I truly believe that they're the easiest to use,
Absolutely. Yeah.
which is good for the industry. Trying, guys that come in a lot less experience
Yeah.
than used to.
Mhm.
So I find it's easier for a new guy to kind of learn, get
Oh,
up and
exactly.
rolling faster than other
Yeah.
systems. That's truly why I
Yeah. It's
work with Leica. So
what I like about Leica is I tell guys to RTFS, right? Read the fucking screen. Because if there's anything like an error code or anything like that, it'll pop up on there and it'll give you like you just hit the help button and it'll give you a step by step procedure what to check and what's going on, right?
yeah, before it's just a guessing game. You
Yeah, I
gotta
was
go
like,
through
oh,
all the menus, try to
oh, yeah,
troubleshoot it yourself if you
yeah,
even can do that,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
exactly. So yeah, it's very user intuitive for sure, like on that side of things.
has it changed the way that you approach moving dirt?
Oh yeah, your methodology changes, right? Like before, it was you start with stripping, you're doing your subgrade, um, adding lifts of dirt, and then you had to get the surveyor out there, stake it out, throw some elevations on some stakes, the stakes get wiped out, put the stakes back in, you know, guy running around with a grade stick, kind of doing some rough checks and stuff like that. But now it's just you're eliminating two guys on site. You know, one guy hammering stakes all day, one guy doing grade checks, and yeah, it's just you're making everything so much more efficient, right? Like the dozer is just pushing dirt out, like he's just right on grade right away. He can set his offsets. So if he's doing, let's say you're doing foot lifts, right? 30 cent offset, lay it in. There's no
Mhm.
guessing. There's no like, you just put 6 inches here, or 2 feet on one end because he thinks it's level. You're putting those consistent lifts in all the time. I mean, yeah, it's a no brainer. I don't know how dirt companies don't do without it now. So
Do you provide your guys training?
some of it, yeah, yeah, like operator training, yeah, we let them, jump in a piece of equipment and you know most of it's self-taught, right? Like
Mhm.
it's
Trial and error, just like everything.
well, exactly. Like you hire these guys from these like equipment schools, for instance,
The worst.
and they think they know it all, and they got this shiny ticket they show up with, and it's like, well, yeah, that works in a school setting, but in the real world, it's totally different, right?
Mhm.
It's like a firefighter. Like putting out a fire in a concrete building on a test thing is totally different than walking into a real one where there's actual, you know, things happening. So yeah, it's a lot of it's self-taught, and I like hiring young guys. Like I just hired these guys straight out of high school, and he has an interest in doing this kind of stuff. And yeah, he's going to start as a labor guy,
Mhm.
and he's going to be on a roller, you know, jumping jack, and he's going to start right from the bottom. And but hopefully, as long as like this new generation actually watches what the guys are doing, right?
Mhm.
Like how I learned how to run an excavator is I ran a rock truck for 4 months, but instead of being on my phone the whole time, loading, I was actually watching the guy load. Like, how does he loading it? Where was he? How was he running the controls? Like, he was keeping his tracks level. Like, just all the little tips and tricks that you would watch when you did something with that. And I think yeah, young generation has got something to learn with that. It's just you got to get off that damn fucking phone.
That's how I was too. Like yeah, okay, I worked in construction. Lots of guys do. But the difference was I had a passion for it and I wanted to learn
Right.
as much as I could. So I was watching what the guy in the dozer was doing
Yeah.
and how he would set up his lifts and direct the trucks and
Exactly.
load trucks and all this different stuff, right? So at the end of the day, I would go home. Most people would just be like, oh, work's done,
Yeah.
brain off.
Yeah.
I was going home and replaying
Yeah.
everything that I was
Exactly.
watching, and that helped me get better 10 times faster than
Yeah.
an average person.
Oh,
So
exactly.
I just excelled huge in
Right.
construction because I understood most of it
Mm-hmm.
very fast, right? And
Oh,
then
exactly.
I became foreman, and because I learned so quickly, I jumped very quickly to a foreman. So,
Yep. Well, and everybody says they can run equipment, right? Like, so like you get these people that say, "Yeah, I can run a dozer." Yeah, you can run a dozer, but like equipment operating is so much more than just operating the piece of equipment. It's material management.
mhm,
Like, how are you like efficiencies? Like running a dozer. You got
mhm.
trucks rolling into site. How are you building your lifts? Do you work yourself in the corner right away so the
Mhm.
trucks can't come in? Like, it's so much more than just operating the dozer. Yes, you can drive it. You can make a level pass. Great, but how are you managing everything within that?
How does what you're doing in the dozer help the guy in the excavator
Well,
and the
exactly.
rock truck? Like
Yeah.
you're able to do things as if you can foresee stuff like
Right.
that. The hoe doesn't need to come back and pick up a pile of dirt.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's like I like when I drive on a site, I like to see it. It should be like an orchestra, right?
Yes.
It should be just this, calming music playing in the background. It's just this truck's rolling here, this excavator's doing that, and it's just that smooth, you know. If I hear rock music in the background, that's just a terrible day. You know what I mean? That just sounds like everybody's too stressed out, and it's like that's no good. And I always tell my operators too, slow is smooth, slow is smooth,
Mm-hmm.
smooth is fast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like everybody wants to be the hero and really wants to get in there and just prove to themselves. And it's just like, just take your time, enjoy life, and figure it out, and you'll get it. Speed comes with experience.
It's not very hard to be a hero. The hero is the guy that doesn't have to move dirt twice.
Yeah,
Or like
exactly.
doesn't have a bunch of bullshit
Yeah,
afterwards. Forgot this,
that's
forgot
right.
that. It's too busy trying to go fast, and okay, you're going fast, but you also whirl the undercarriage on the dozer.
Yeah,
We're doing it.
exactly.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's
So
right.
like that's not faster.
Yeah,
That's losing way more money than you actually
no,
lost.
exactly. Yeah, bouncing over things and turning excavator tracks without lifting them. Like just you can hear the final drives just screaming. It's like, oh, you guys got to learn all those little tricks is a bigger thing than just moving the arm back and forth, right? So
Yeah, that's easy. Like in e- equipment schools, you get taught how to the joystick. Yeah, this is your stick
yeah,
and
yeah,
bucket, blah blah blah. Yeah, okay, you can run the joysticks,
yep,
but you can't actually hold a job with that because like you don't know how to set up the hole
yep,
properly and how to dig,
yep.
different techniques and methods of doing shit.
No, exactly.
So like, yeah,
But it's not real life, right? Like that's like even like I've had operators like, hey, I've got skid steer training. Like, okay, what'd you do in skid steer training? Yeah, we set some pylons up and we had to drive it around it and back around. I'm like, yeah, but you knew those pylons were there. That's why you were good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Now all of a sudden, picture that pylon as a moving pylon, like a person. Are you going to be able to do it? Are you able
Mm-hmm.
to like work fast and safe around something like that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not reality. Right?
That's just moving the
Yeah.
machine. How about getting something to grade,
Yo,
let alone
go.
level? Like,
Yeah, finish operators. That's just because you need experience with that, right? Like, and that's where I always say go back to the farm kids. Like they've ran equipment and like they worked on a feedlot or they worked on a dairy farm and they've ran a loader or a tractor with a bucket on it. They kind of got a rough idea how it works. So that's why I really enjoy them.
if a kid runs a tractor, I would say that he's already learned the basic concepts of physics that will
Yeah.
be in play.
Exactly.
Geometry and like this is how it lifts and this is
Yeah.
the fucking pinch point. Don't put your arm in there.
Yeah.
You're losing your arm.
Exactly.
Stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And like weight and balance and
Oh,
that
exactly.
type of stuff, right? So
If you're gonna lift a big like a 3,000 pound Lego block, that your back wheels might come off the ground.
yes.
Right? Not just lift it up and all of a sudden fly out through the front windshield. So
Still on the topic of machine control, what was a challenge when you switched over to machine control? Like you mentioned, well, you're on the tablet, and like you don't know what to
Yeah,
do,
well,
getting
yeah.
set up.
Yep.
So like, how did you overcome that? Like, what did that look like?
Yeah. So I mean, when we had laser, right? There's no screen, nothing, right? It was set up laser, turn on the receivers, and you're going to work. So when we started with Leica, we turned on tablet, and it's intimidating, right? It's daunting. You're it's just the way everything is set up is just totally different, right? So yeah, it was a bit of a challenge, but I would say it probably took me 3 weeks before I was kind of felt comfortable with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's from going with someone that had no experience with GPS at all, right? So nowadays, with like we got a lot of foremen that know how to use this stuff. So when the new guy gets hired, they pick up on a lot quicker, right? Because you have answers right away. So I was kind of by myself then,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just kind of figuring it out through myself, and it was kind of just it's kind of you guys have to play with it again, right? You just hit this button. What does this button do? It's just kind of one of those things, and but now we're fluent in it, and it's so easy right now, right? It's looking back, you're like, man, I can't believe I struggled that much with it at first.
Do you ever do jobs without it now?
No, no, everything's everything, even the smallest little job, like let's say we're putting up a trailer pad or something like that, this pile's going in, just send us the drawings. Like we're not going to sit with the measuring tape and just enter through the data collector, set your offsets and all the stuff for your spacing between your piles, and just build it yourself. Anything, like even if you get locates, for instance, like doing some small job, like locators take forever these days to come. So they'll come and do locates, and we'll shoot all the locates in with our GPS, just so we have, that those little flags go missing all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just easy. Just go back there. And, okay, here's a line, right? So just it gets used every day on every job, pretty much.
So yeah, I guess it would help with safety then if you can mark where that line is and make a avoidance
Exactly.
zone or something like that, right?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. And even when we're installing services now, like especially on the ag side and the farms and stuff, that's all secondary locates. So Canadian locators or anyone like that won't come and locate that. So when every time we install that now, we shoot it all the whole line in on GPS, and then we have a nice map for the farmer, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
saying here's all your lines, here's your depths, everything, and you have a map of where all your lines are right now. So, and they love that, right? Because there's always something that goes wrong, and they're adding something. They need to know where it is, and I mean, how many times have I walked through a feedlot with witching wires trying to find something, and it's just brutal, right?
So you mentioned you're doing some or more commercial now.
Yep.
I assume those have tighter specs than like ag
Yeah.
type stuff.
Yeah, like we always strive for perfection, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, every job is treated the same. Like we want to be as accurate as possible, but yeah, like you're on a farm side of things, you're not really challenged on all your accuracies, I suppose. Like there's no one saying, "Hey, you're."
As long as it drains and like,
Yeah, you're not challenged on it. So, yeah. So when we're going to commercial work like that, like you got an engineer or survey that comes by there and like, hey, you're 4 cents low here, or you're 10 cents low here, whatever. So Yeah, it's crucial to be more accurate, and we don't really have an issue of getting through it though. I mean, with
Mhm.
with machine control, it's like the only time it's out by a lot is if it's just compacted or settled or moved different, right? Different soil types. I mean, GPS kicks out for a minute and puts a little dip in it, but other than that, it's pretty good.
Yeah, so like I found like I love technology, but I see a lot of people not using it in the full way that they could. So
Yeah,
like there's a lot of different options and stuff, and people don't take the training from the dealer
yeah,
maybe, and they're not using it to the full potential. There's a bunch of options that they don't even know
yeah,
about or how it works, you know what I mean?
exactly.
So
Yeah, like even like some of my younger operators too. Like we use like on a dozer, for instance, you can just go in to make a flat model surface for a minute,
mhm,
right? You don't even need a surveyor there or nothing. You just set your blade on the ground, select your elevation, say 908.6,
mhm,
whatever. Okay, on my pad at 908.6, hit that, select the drive around to select the area you want to do, and you make it just as big as you want,
mhm.
and boom, build a level pad, right? You're the dozer's the surveyor at that point. And
And it can also go around and do all the pickup,
yeah,
but
exactly.
some guys don't know about that.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Like,
it's a mobile surveyor, really. It's
mhm.
it's a surveyor on tracks. So I mean, we use it all the time, right? Like it's, hey, call the cat over here, set the blade down. What are we at here?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
fill of 15. Okay, good. Next guy.
Do you have a real world example of how having like a saved your ass on a job?
Well, when we did that solar farm, for instance, I wouldn't say that same mass. We just kind of proved a point there, I guess. We did that one. I mean, they had like four surveyors running around pounding stakes like a bunch of idiots, and I mean, it was powder dry, like trying to set the scene here. It was like the Sahara Desert, just dust blowing. Like these guys were just black at the end of the day, just covered in dirt and dust, pounding stakes. And then like, he's got 627 scrapers running around in dust. And it's like, man, like a lot of guys were like, yeah, we're shutting the job down. It's unsafe because, there's so much dust, someone's gonna get killed and getting run over by a scraper, right? So, and then so our superintendent there, I was like, well, why are we using GPS? Like, come on. Like you guys have a file. You guys got the guys running around putting stakes in. So you got a file. I got a dozer here. It's just ripping and pushing. Anyways, just give me the file. We'll put it in here. Let's try. Right.
Mhm.
At first I think, no, don't want to do it. And kind of got a little reluctant, right? And then eventually when the install crew was putting panels in, and they're like, well, we got to do some rework here. We got to do some rework here because there's just the tolerances weren't quite right.
Mhm.
Right. The surveyor was getting lazy. He was getting sick of walking. Right. So
Mhm.
So finally, he's like, "Okay, well, let's just try." So we started plugged it in there and started doing passes with the dozer, and surveyors are walking behind it, and they're just like smiling, like, "Good, good," and just keep going, right? And we started doing, it, and then it's like, "Hey, you got a grader GPS?" "Yeah, you bet." Okay, so topsoiling, we did all the topsoil with grader, and yeah, put the exact amount of topsoil on again, right? Because 2 years ago we did another job with them, and we stripped the whole site, and all of a sudden we were out of topsoil. We had like a third of the site at the topsoil, so now we're scraping topsoil from other places, trying to make everything topsoil again. It's like, well, you guys take 6 inches off. Now we're putting 6 inches back on, right?
Mhm.
You're getting exact thicknesses. So, I mean, it saved them an ass load of money on rework, and topsoil was actually somewhere like before we had some spots where it was like just a skiff.
Mhm.
The wind would blow the topsoil off. And but yeah, you were running out, right? It was just kind of get something there to grow something.
You're able to use it to prove how much dirt you moved.
Absolutely, yeah.
Ha-
Oh, yeah,
Has that
absolutely.
ever came in handy? Some guys
Oh,
are,
yeah.
you didn't move that much.
Yeah,
Actually,
oh,
here's the
shit.
proof.
Yeah, we do that all the time. Yeah, for sure. Like any kind of project we do, any kind of stockpiles, we always do stockpile reports, right? So, I mean, I don't care what the bid says. If they say you're moving 20,000 cubes of dirt, I'm going to make sure I'm moving 20,000 cubes. I'm not going to get paid. I mean, if we're moving more, I'm getting paid for it, right?
Yeah.
So we always do a stockpile report after, and just to verify that we're whatever dirt we move. And like even when the job starts, right? Usually we'll have the topo file there, right? They'll have the topo and then their design. You compare it off that, and then we'll usually when the project's done, we'll do another as built, so to speak, and just see where we're at and what we did, and just to double check the numbers because I mean I'm pretty sure everybody's honest here, but just double check is always good to know.
Mhm.